Why, hello. Welcome to the Read Aloud. We're about to start chapter 11. Doing this one in the morning. This one happens to be in my kitchen. I got a large satchel of oranges here. I don't know why we have so many oranges, but these days you buy a lot of everything, so why not a lot of oranges? All right, and we're ready to go. So in chapter 9 and 10, they woke up on the bridge and had that good scene with Arul and Mutu where they bathed in the water, and Mutu and Arul seemed to have kind of a way with Ruku where they're able to get her to laugh. And remember, Ruku was even about to have one of her tantrums. We know she has some sort of disability. And Mutu, who's kind of feeling like a funny guy, right? He started making a song out of her tantrum. Sorry, I had to plug in the computer. And she just joined in and started singing with him and stopped the tantrum. So I think we got a little bit of a insight into the boys and what kind of people they are and maybe what this relationship will be. And then in chapter 10, Fiji and Ruku set out. Sorry, I'm also drinking coffee because it's 6 a.m. Coffee and oranges. Great combo. So in chapter 11, they set out to go to the tea shop. And when they got there, it wasn't the warmest welcome. Remember, the man was like, "Get out of here." But the woman invited them to the back. They, tea shop auntie gave them beads, or gave Ruku beads, and showed her how to use them. They worked for a while. Then the tea shop auntie gave them some food, but it doesn't really feel like it's going to be a place they'll be able to work. And she told them to go towards a temple where richer families live, and maybe they'll find a job there. Okay, so here we go. Chapter 11. Sweat was rolling down our backs, plastering our blouses to our skin when we finally reached the temple. It was in a quiet part of the city, with tree-lined avenues and large houses surrounded by walls. One wall had bits of broken glass set into the concrete on the top. No one could ever climb over without shredding their palms. "Pretty," you said, reaching for the multicolored shards through which sunlight skipped. "No, Ruku, awa." Near the temple, we found a house set in the middle of a sprawling garden. I could spot every kind of fruit tree: mango, coconut, banana, jackfruit, and even a short orange tree. The wall was low enough to look over, and it bore a sign with the house's name, Lakshmi Ilam. "Look, Ruku, these people are so rich, they have time to choose a name for their house," I said. "They must want even more money too, because they've named their house after the goddess of wealth." Kuti ran up to the wrought iron gate, which swung open invitingly. Our feet crunched on the gravel path leading to the front door. We'd only taken a few steps when an old man picking oranges called out, "Aye, what do you think you are doing?" He looked us up and down, and I wished I had smoothed our hair and skirts before entering the compound. "I'm looking for work, sir, and—" "Beggars!" He waved a fruit at us. "Get lost!" We're not begging, I said angrily. I just told you I'm looking for work. I can do housework and... You think rich people are going to give you jobs if you wander into their compounds? With a mangy dog tagging along, the old man said. I'm the gardener here. Let me tell you what they'll do. They'll call the police. That's what. Police? Yes, he said. So keep out. A noise came from the shed at the end of the driveway. To my surprise, a car drove out. House, you pointed. House? Cars? That's called a garage, said the gardener. The car pulled up to the front of the mansion, and a woman in a sequin-studded sari stepped out. So I'm just going to pause there. Ruku and Viji have never seen a garage, apparently. Look, here they said a noise came from a shed at the end of the driveway, and a car, to my surprise, a car drove out. So they think it's a house, but a car comes out. So to them, these families must be so rich that they have homes for their cars. Kind of gives you an idea of what's going on here. The car pulled up to the front door of the mansion, and a woman in a sequin-studded sari stepped out. A girl in a lacy white dress skipped out from behind her. Look, she cried. What a cute doggy. Get out. The gardener shook his fist at us, like he'd been trying to chase us away. Stay away from that dog, Prabha, the woman said. It's a stray. I took your hand and walked briskly out the gate. Something whizzed by my head. I ducked. Shocked, the gardener would go so far as to throw a stone just to keep up his pretense. So the gardener's pretending to be angry at them, so the owners think he's trying to get them away. So he threw a stone at them to show that he was trying to get them out. The object landed with a thud. It wasn't a stone. It was an orange. I looked back, wondering if I should thank him, but the gate clanged shut. Might as well eat it. It's big enough to share with the boys, I mused. You smiled. We sat in the shade of a gnarled rain tree. Kuti settled his head on his forepaws and watched us. I gave you the orange. Ah, you murmured, cradling it in your hands as if it were the most beautiful thing ever. You ran the tips of your fingers across its waxy peel. You turned it around and around, as if it looked different from every angle. Ah, you repeated. You raised the orange to your nose, took a long sniff, and then gave it to me. I took the orange and turned it around just as you had. It glowed like a small, pale sun. I felt its weight, its perfect ripeness, not too soft, not too firm. I breathed in its citrus scent. I started to peel it, noticing things I'd never noticed before. How the leathery peel isn't colored the same all the way through, how the papery sections inside feel like leafy veins, how the pulp is shaped like raindrops. When at last I placed the section in my mouth, I could hear it burst as my teeth met the flesh. Squeezing the juice out onto my tongue. Tart at first and then sweet. Everything else melted away except for the taste, the smell, the feel of the fruit on my tongue. I ate the fruit slowly, the way you like to do things. Until then, I had thought it was a sad thing that you were sometimes slower than the rest of us. But that day, I realized that slow can be better than fast. Like magic, you could stretch time out when we needed it, so that a moment felt endless, so the taste of half an orange could last and last. Chapter 12, Choosing Family. By the end of that long day, I hadn't found a job. Our money was gone and we weren't any richer, except for the raincoat and bananas and bag of beads that tea shop auntie had given us. Still, I felt thankful. Thankful we had at least that much. Most of all, thankful that you were following me without a fuss, with Kuti at your heels. Smart, independent Kuti, who had scampered off to eat scraps out of every open, overflowing garbage can we had seen. We wouldn't have to worry about feeding him. Arul and Mutu returned as we were trying to tie a raincoat to a steel rod that was poking out of the wall of the bridge to make a roof. Arms outstretched, you ran toward the boys. The raincoat flapped in the wind and started flying about the bridge. You squealed with excitement as I zigzagged after the raincoat, dodging the holes in the bridge. Kuti yipped and joined the chase. Cloth bird, Mutu yelled as he helped me catch it. Nice save, Arul clapped. But that's not big enough for a roof. What do you know, I huffed. We don't need you telling us how to build the shelter. Too bad, because I got the spare tarp for you, a nice big one. Now you tell me? After I almost twisted my ankle hopping all over the bridge? You could thank me, you know, he said. I could, I agreed. Arul grinned. I grinned back. Well, maybe you'll want to thank me after we have some dinner. We spread the raincoat on the ground and sat crisscross-legged in a circle around it. Arul set out their food. 4 crisp marukus wrapped in newspaper. My mouth watered seeing the beige spirals made of spicy lentil flour. I added the bananas that remained from the bunch that tea shop auntie had given us. Arul pressed his palms together and said a prayer I had never heard before. It sounded like Our Father, O-R-T, Narayan, something, something, all in English, not Tamil like Amma's prayers. Then we split the food up evenly. Almost. Arul insisted. He wasn't very hungry. He gave me his fruit to save for you for the next morning. Ashamed that I was too selfish and hungry to be so noble, I downed my fair share. After dinner, Arul helped us build our shelter. We tied up one edge of the new tarp to the rods poking out of the wall of the bridge, right alongside their tarp. You and Mutu helped us stretch the other end of our tarp from the wall to the ground and weight down the bottom edge with stones to make a sloped roof. We hung our towel between the 2 sloped tarp roofs like a wall. I spread out our sheet and bunched up the raincoat for you to have as a pillow. Sleep well in your new home, Arul said. We crawled into our tent. I took out the book Parvati teacher had given me and strained my eyes, trying to read in the semi-darkness, but I could hardly make out the words. I put the book away and thought of how kind she had been to us. When we grow up, I want to be a teacher, I told you. This dream had flitted through my mind before. Voicing it for the first time made my dream feel so solid. But it also made me worry if, by running away, I had pushed it further out of my reach. You think I can be a teacher someday? Subbu and Parvati teacher moved to cities so their lives could get better, right? Like us? Story, you demanded. I sighed. I didn't want Arul hearing my story and thinking it was silly, so I started whispering as I'd done the night before. Loud, you commanded. Palace, peacock. Okay. I raised my voice a little and saw Mutu's shadow as he crept next to the towel dividing our tents. When I was done, you demanded, again. I was about to protest when Mutu's voice floated through the thin barrier between us. Yes, Akka. Please, one more time. His words made my throat squeeze up, and it was a few moments before I could speak again. He had called me Akka, older sister. He had made me a family. Okay, so for your response today, it's a different kind of one, just one option. And it's, what is one word you would use to describe one of the main characters? Use evidence from chapters 10 and 11. So this is like the original responses we were doing back in the day. And you should pull out your weekly reading responses and use your ingredients. So you just think of one word for one of the characters. And we really learned a lot about the characters in these two chapters, where they did things where we could kind of infer what that says about them as a person, right? I don't want to give away all the things, but I don't know, a rule, finding a tarp for them and dinner, the way, there was a lot of things in that chapter. So mine might start, I might talk about VG. I might say VG is a girl who is responsible and tough. That might be how I start. And I think there's a lot of examples in these two chapters of VG being responsible and tough. Okay. So yeah, that's the response. Good luck.